And we know that we can't necessarily give it to him directly. What can we do with it? As stewards, what can we do with our money? Like, that's an example, just, giving alms at church. Or it doesn't have to be church, maybe it's donating to a cause. We all know about the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, where some people think of it as, a sign of, like manliness, or a sign of pride. Oh, I'm doing something good for a cause. Let me dump this water bucket on my head. But how many people actually donate money to the association? How many people have actually thought about the cause itself? They're so engrossed in the act and in the whole flash and the substance and the fame that they never really thought about it.
Although, if you don't mind, if you've seen Patrick Stewart's one, he just writes a check and then that's it, and he uses his ice bucket for like whiskey or something. And he doesn't do that. So I thought that was pretty against the grain.
Yeah. So, God calls us to give of our money. However big or little, it doesn't have to be. We know some of us might have heard in the Bible. We read about the woman who was able to give very little, but God said that that's enough. That's a lot. You're giving a lot. So it doesn't have to be a lot. Just whatever we can give. Like we heard earlier, it's not about the amount that you give, but God looks into our hearts. He looks into the condition of our hearts as we give. So maybe we only give $1 on Sunday, but if it really is $1 out of $2 total, then maybe the condition of our hearts is that we're really sacrificing a lot. It takes a lot of strength. So some other ways of giving, there's tithing. Maybe some of you have heard tithing, which is more of like an arranged, continual donation, sometimes taken from from a percentage of your paycheck, and just general almsgiving, like we saw here. So we know about the importance of giving money, but what else can we give? Is it just money? Does the world revolve around money? But what, if not money, what else is valuable? Time. So time in itself, some people say time is money. Some people say time is better than money. Because time is limited, but money can, for some people, money keeps coming. But time is limited. I can get my $10 back from the guy who took it. I can't get my 10 minutes back. So time, in some ways, this is more important than money. So time is limited for us, but time is unlimited for God. So He doesn't need time in that sense. Like we talked about with the money, when we give of our time, He doesn't look at how much we give. Lord, I'm going to give you 20 hours, and then that's my day, I'm done. And then, no. He looks, although if you could do that, maybe it's your own personal goal to do that. That's on your own, on your own will. But usually some people can only give an hour in a week to go to church. That's it, just an hour in a week. How many hours in a week? Maybe that's all you can give. So as long as we have a proper attitude, we know not to worry about how much time that we give, just the fact that we're giving it. Maybe it's difficult for some of us to go to church. Maybe it really is difficult due to our work schedules. But to give of that 1 hour or 30 minutes of prayer or whatever it might be, this time that you spend right now at CLP, you're giving that to us. You're giving that to God. Just doing that that's that strength. It takes a lot of strength. We know that. Some of us are students. We know it takes a lot of strength to give time to something when we could be doing something else, like sleep. So we are called to be generous with our time, not use it for ourselves, but for others. And when we use it for others, we use it for God as well. So we kind of know like the different ways that we can give of our time. I think we talked about it before, like sometimes doing charity work takes time out of our week, even if it's just like 1 day out of a month, to spend that day doing something, sacrificing of yourself, doing something for someone else who needs it. That is almost like giving it to God Himself directly. even though he doesn't need to build a new house or to feed, he doesn't need to eat. But the fact that we're doing it for other people. So, but even if we just do those things like giving money or giving our time for charity work, and maybe we don't really do it for God. Like, it's not necessarily wrong to do the volunteering work, or it's not necessarily wrong to spend time in prayer. But when we look at it as a whole, as a Christian ideal, like how does all of this tie into loving God with all of our strength? So we know that our time is limited, 24 hours in a day, and we spend it doing, God knows what. Like, but that's what He wants. He knows. That's the thing. He knows what we spend it on. So how do we, examine like our lives on a clock? Like what do I do from like 1 to 2? From midnight, like before I go to sleep, what do I do? Is it God's time or is it my time? So all of that is a form of strength. Just understanding that we have to give our limited time, whatever little time that we have, to God. No matter what it is, no matter if it be prayer or volunteer work. So we already know that loving God takes so much. Like we already talked about the heart. Like, Lord, you want my heart, you want my mind and my time as well, and my money. Like that's everything. I'm giving my everything. So you're giving your everything. When you give your everything, you love the Lord with all of your soul. All of those things combined. When you give, what is the soul? It's our everything. So when we give our everything, we give of our soul. So when we practice the first three things, the mind, the heart, the strength, that's God seeing our souls. Because He doesn't care about the physical things that we do or the specific ways that we do it, but He looks into our soul. He sees all of that, and He sees what we do. That's the love of God. That's the ultimate ideal, all into one. So we know that loving God it's a very high ideal. It's the highest ideal. We know that it takes so much out of us. God was dedicated to accomplishing His mission. Jesus, as a man, He was human, just like us. When He was on earth, He did the same things that we did. He gave of His money, He gave of His time. He faced the same struggles that we do to give of our time, to give of our, He did all of these things. But He's God. He still did these things, but He's God. So what more, He didn't have to do those things. He didn't have to give it to Himself, but He still did. So why did He do that? Because He wants to show us, right? He wants to show us how it's done. He's the ideal. He's our role model. He's our superhero. Better than what Superman does in the comic books. The Lord actually does things for us. So He was dedicated in that mission, and not only that, He was obedient to that commandment, to that mission until He died. How many of us can do that? How many of us can devote, like if we have, we're all young here, let's admit it, but how many of us can devote